Hi, it's Miss Ashley. I'm here to talk with you about one of your work choices this week, which is a neighborhood pattern walk. Now, what this work will require you to do is really use your eyes for some close observation to find some patterns around you. I'm going to share my screen and show you a video or a presentation rather, that I created of a walk that I went on yesterday. Before I show you my walk, I want to talk a little bit about what a pattern hunt is. You need to first know and understand what is a pattern. Well, a pattern is a repeated or a recurring design, something that happens over and over again. Patterns can be created by nature or they can be created by humans. Patterns can be made of shapes, colors, lines, designs, or it could be a combination of all of those things. So what is a pattern hunt? Well, this is a chance for you to find patterns in nature or patterns made by humans in your environment. So I'm going to start out showing you a video of my neighborhood walk yesterday. Here we go. Yes, you can see this is a time-lapse video. I'm walking very quickly, but you can also see along the way, I am noticing patterns everywhere. Patterns on the ground, patterns on vehicles, patterns on walls. And most of the patterns I'm finding are actually made by humans. All right, so getting started. I was ready for my walk. I was wearing a jacket because it was breezy, and I also brought along some paper and a clipboard and a pencil. And this was so that I could start to sketch down all of the patterns I was seeing along the way. One of the first things I saw was a retaining wall. This was along along the sidewalk in someone's yard, and it is made of bricks. You can see that the bricks were laid in a pattern that alternates. We have two down here that we can see fully, with one fully shown in the center, then another two, and then another one on top. Another pattern I saw right away was on a truck. It was the front grille of a vehicle. This is made of repeated hexagons that are making an interesting design or pattern. Here's another, which is a fence. This is made out of wood panels and they're lined up vertically. This is a signpost. It has a pattern of vertical holes right down the center. This is part of the sidewalk. It's the part of the sidewalk that is a ramp that leads down to the road. So if you are in a wheelchair or in any sort of riding something like a tricycle or bicycle and need to get up the curb safely, you can use this accessible ramp. This is one of my favorite patterns that I was able to see. This definitely was created by humans, and it's on the basketball court at the park around the block from my house. What I really like this is it not only is an example of patterns, but it's an example of symmetry. This is a chain link fence, which creates a diamond-shaped pattern, and this is along a baseball diamond. Ooh, this was a park bench, with my toes down there. And I'm looking down at the park bench where you would sit down. Here's a storm drain. And I see two patterns here. I see the one that's made out of the actual metal drain with all of the horizontal lines that are also creating these long vertical lines. But also there's a pattern around with the cement. And this is a picnic table bench. So the picnic table top and the seats, the bench where you sit down, all have these holes. And what I really loved is when I looked, to me, they were making these kind of zigzag line patterns. And you may see different types of patterns in here. Looked a lot for patterns in nature, and I really had a difficult time finding some, but this was an example of something I found, and it is a pine cone. And what I really loved is this was a beautiful example of how all of the seeds in the pine cone are alternating and creating that pattern. So you may be able to go for a neighborhood walk to do this activity, but some people cannot. And I want to give you some variations or other options that you can do if you still want to do a pattern hunt. The first thing you can do is find patterns in your yard. It could be a front yard, side yard, backyard, courtyard. You could also find patterns inside your house. You could find patterns in a picture book. You could also find patterns on your clothing. So when I came home, there was one last thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to take all of the things that I had observed and I wanted to capture them in a piece of artwork. So I'm going to show you my artwork. And I simply used a pencil and a ruler. And then I went over it with one of my favorite things, which is Sharpie markers. And you're going to notice here that these are examples of things I saw. Here is my example of the brick retaining wall. These diagonal red and blue lines represented that ramp that went down from the sidewalk to the road. I was inspired with this pattern to make this pattern by the pine cone. So this was my interpretation of the pine cone. My vertical lines here represented the fence that I saw, and then that picnic table top and the bench that had those alternating circles. I decided to do those, and then I decided to color them in a pattern where I have my yellows alternating with my purples. So patterns are a lot of fun, and they're a great exercise for your brain. So I hope that you'll be able to look around and notice some new things around you this week. Take care and have a great day. Bye.